Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. So I'm going to be doing a little sort of like rundown on how James's routine is. So if you are new around here, my name's Shona. I'm 33 years old and I live up in the northeast of Scotland. I've got two children, Olivia, who's 2.5 years old, and James, who is 7 weeks old. So as I say, I just wanted to give a little rundown on sort of James's rough routine is. He doesn't really have a routine as such, and I'm not trying to impose a routine on him at the moment. I'm kind of just letting him lead, but he seems to have like kind of fallen into like certain times and you know, things like that. So I just thought I'd give you a little brief insight into what he's doing. Obviously this is not like how it should be or anything like that. This is what is working for us. And what James is basically doing. So I don't have James with me at the moment. He's fallen asleep. I was going to film this earlier, but my battery ran out and it's been a bit of a disaster of a day. But he's fallen asleep, which kind of is like, this is now night time, and this tends to be like a fussy period. So now that he's fallen asleep, I'm just like, right, we're going to film this and do it. But I'll just show you because he's here. So that is James there. As you can see, he's in his Moses basket. I do, as you might have noticed, have him sitting on a feeding pillow or lying on a feeding pillow, but he just never went into the Moses basket himself. And I kind of came up, I can't even remember how I came up with it, but basically I would like feed him, he'd fall asleep. So rather than kind of waking him up, putting him in the Moses basket and having to kind of go through the whole process again, I just lifted him in, put him with the feeding pillow on top, so I didn't have to wake him up. He was warm and cozy, and it worked. And I've been doing that for a few weeks now. I kind of wish I'd done it for Olivia, but he seems fine in it, and he's not gonna roll over onto his front. And he's not going to go backwards. He's kind of, you know, it's almost like having a sleepy head in there, but obviously the sleepy head won't fit into the Moses basket, so it is having that sort of like cocooned feeling. He's comfy, he's cozy, he's warm. He's not going to do anything, he's breathing fine, so I'm not worried. I actually think I prefer that, because when he's in the Moses basket, I feel like he could go quite up to the sides. So I actually prefer that way, and it is a bit of a side sleeping angle, and Olivia preferred sleeping on her side, so I think he's kind of the same. I'm not sure if he just loves his back. I haven't really, like, Olivia had blankets rolled up in the front and the back of her to stop her rolling back and forward. I haven't really tried that with him this time, but he just seems to prefer that way. So he's comfy, he's sleeping, I'm getting some sleep. It's a win-win situation. There's probably people out there who'll be like, oh, that's not how you should do it, it's not a great way, but if I genuinely thought it wasn't like gonna work, I wouldn't do it. But he seems fine. How long he'll last in that Moses basket anyway, given the size of him, it's probably not going to be for much longer. He'll be in his cot soon enough. So, giving you a rough guide of James. So as I say, he's 7 weeks. To begin with, he was very much, was sleeping really well. He was kind of sleeping quite big chunks during the night, given like 4 or 5 hours. Even kind of, there was a couple of nights where he went like pretty much right through, and it was a bit like, what's going on? It's a newborn. And if you don't know me already, I'm feeding myself, so he was breastfed, which kind of the rough guide is they feed every 2-3 hours, but he was feeding himself. He was sleeping all the way through most of the night. Things have changed a little bit in the last couple of weeks. He's not sleeping, he's not sleeping, but he is up a bit more during the night than what he was when he was first born. So I'll start off with the morning. He's probably up about 6-7 o'clock. He has his sister's there obviously, and she doesn't wake him, but I think just the noise and there's a lot going on in the room, he doesn't sleep like really long. You might get like a 7 o'clock, you might get a bit longer, but in general he's up early. But then, as I say, he does kind of sleep during the night, so long periods of time, so you kind of don't mind that too much. And when I'm up with Olivia, it's not too bad. So normally I will, when he wakes up, I might change his nappy if it's dirty. If it's not, I might leave it, because sure as fate, if I change it before, when he's feeding, he'll go and then I have to go and change it again. So unless it's really dirty or I know it's been on all night, I won't change his nappy, but I'll just feed him straight away. And he'll take about, I would probably feed him like on both sides for about half an hour each, and then after that I'd probably go downstairs, give him a little play. He's got a mat, and he's got a seat, like a vibrating seat. I don't really put on the vibration bit much, but there's like a seat that he can sit on, and there's like an arch with toys. So depending how he is, sometimes I might just like sit him on the sofa or sit him on like the one-seater chair, depending on where his sister is, because obviously sometimes it's better to like put him in the chair, and I can get her breakfast sorted and keep an eye on him, because she does tend to be like up in his face. So I always feel like give him a bit of space, let him wake up and enjoy his surroundings, and he can look at toys and things like that. So it just depends how long I'm going to be. And then I would say he'd probably take another feed. I would say on average, to get him back to sleep, he would take 3 feeds, like 3 feeds overall to go back to sleep. But obviously there's a bit of like playtime, or a bit of like, you know, he's not feeding all the time, like 3 feeds consistently until he goes back to sleep during the day. It's like 3 feeds, and then I'll maybe like have a little play with him, speak to him, put him in his chair, give him a bit of interaction, let him look at toys and things like that. Okay, so somebody's come here to join us. Hopefully he'll be okay. I'll do this as quickly as I can. I'm maybe being too loud for him. So, and as I say, this is his fussy period, so I wouldn't expect him to sleep too long at the moment. So yeah, then he would maybe have like a mid-morning nap. It depends like what we're doing really, but I would say in the morning he'll probably take about an hour's nap. Now it can be, it's unlikely to be all at once. It can maybe be like in 2 chunks, like a half an hour and a half an hour, or 20 minutes and 20 minutes, you know, something like that. But obviously with Olivia has things, so I'm in and out of the house with her, so he might take like a 10-15 minutes in the car, you know, when we're going somewhere, and then coming back. But I would say overall in the morning he'll have about an hour's nap in total, and then obviously he's feeding consistently during those times. He obviously, because he sleeps quite a lot during the night, he feeds a lot during the day, so he will take good 20-minute feeds, and then as I say, it's probably like 3 feeds before he'll have like another nap. So that's probably in the morning. The afternoon, as I say, he feeds and feeds and feeds quite a lot, but the afternoon I would say he has this huge nap, so he'll maybe have 2 or 3 hours. I try not to let him sleep for much longer than that, purely because I know when it comes to the evening, I don't want to let, you know, because he is sleeping so well during the night, I feel like I don't want to let him sleep too long and then he's not sleeping during the night. But usually it's about 2 to 3 hours in the afternoon. Just seems to be his long nap time. Obviously depending on what we're doing, if he's, again, it's not always going to be the long nap time, but that seems to be the general area of when he'll have his longest nap during the day. What else? So from that, when he gets up, it's usually about supper time, so again it's like feeding consistently, speaking to him, playing with him, and that's kind of how his routine is during the day, you know, feeding, changing his nappy. Regarding nappy changes, I don't change it, like, I don't have a set time that I'll change it. Generally, because I'll change it when he needs it changed, as in like he's pooed. I don't change it too much if he's just peed. It depends, like sometimes you look at it and you think, oh my god, the nappy is full, I'll change it. But I probably wait until he has a poo, because he's breastfed, he poos quite regularly, so you can, like in the afternoon, I can sometimes change it 2 or 3 times a day. So it's not like I'm leaving it the whole day, just in case you think that. He's quite consistent with his poo, so it gets changed regularly. So yeah, during the day he'll feed and feed and feed and feed, playtime, things like that. And then into the night, I would say, or into the evening, is his fussiest time. So he will just constantly feed and feed and feed and feed. So, you know, from like me eating my supper to sitting down, it's like I'll feed one side, basically the other, I'll feed one side, go back to the other side, and then it's like literally like that until eventually he'll just pass out. Not pass out, he'll fall asleep. And about 8, 9 o'clock, I would say, he's probably got about 2 bedtimes. So I guess it all depends on what he slept during the day. Sometimes he will have like a little nap, maybe 5, 6 o'clock into the evening. So he might like, I would say he probably can have like about an hour's, half an hour, hour's nap in the evening. So that kind of depends what his bedtime is. If he's gonna only maybe have half an hour, he'll maybe have like a little snooze about 6 o'clock. He's probably gonna go down about 8, 9 o'clock, I would say. That would be him out. But if he maybe has a little longer nap, he might sleep about 7, you might be sleeping for 7, but he'll wake up, he'll be back, he won't go like properly down till about 9, 10 o'clock, maybe even until about 11. But he'll just feed consistently that whole evening. You might get a little 5 minutes play, but it does tend to be, he gets quite upset as soon as you take him off. Sometimes you'll take him off to maybe to do things, you know, you've got Olivia to sort out. He's upset, he doesn't want to be taken off, he just wants to feed and feed and feed. And I think it's kind of like cluster feeding, I guess, at night time. That seems to be the consistent, what he does. And I remember Olivia being exactly the same. I could literally bang on the number. I could literally put money on 11 o'clock, she would be in the time that she would finally settle. She would just feed and feed all night, and then 11 o'clock she'd finally just conk out. He's getting a little bit agitated, but this is just going to take 5 minutes. He does have a dummy. He doesn't really like the dummy. Sometimes it might be needed just so he can just chill out for 5 minutes until I get Olivia sorted. So it's more a necessity rather than he wants it because he has it because he wants it. Let's see, put you this way. I think he's tired as well because he hasn't really slept at all since his long afternoon nap. So I think he's getting tired. Yeah, so into the evening, I'll just rattle this up quickly. Into the evening, depends obviously when he goes down. When he kind of was first newborn, he was literally going most of the night, apart from maybe one feed, which would take like an hour maybe maximum. And now we've shifted. So if it's like 8, 9 o'clock, he probably get up about midnight. If it's a bit later, you'll probably get him till about 3 in the morning. And when he wakes up, I'll probably change his nappy depending on if it's dirty or not, or how long he's been sleeping. Again, I know he'll feed quite a while, so I might like, I might leave him until I know he's made it a mess. I don't really want to put the light on, you know, keep it as dark as possible, and only change it if I really, really need to. Once he's woken up, I will feed him, and he's taken 2 hours to get back to sleep. So he's feeding consistently for 2 hours, kind of on both sides, obviously alternating as it goes, maybe a nappy change, and then he'll go back in his cot, and that'll be him till the morning. That is his newborn routine, giving you a little insight into what our day pans out with James. It obviously changes depending on growth spurts or development leaps. He's going through a bit of a development leap just now, so I feel like that might be causing him. There was one night, a couple of nights ago, he was up, I think like 2 or 3 times during the night feeding. So it just depends, you know, they're so different, are you? One day can be completely different from the next, but that is his general rule, his general routine. So I hope you've liked this video. Give it a thumbs up if you did, and if you are new, please hit the subscribe button, and I'll catch you the next time. Bye bye.